this is a few months ago, I believe it was right after Cohen bought the Mets. Robinson Cano tested positive for PEDs, again, performance-enhancing drugs. Commissioner's office said Cano tested positive for I don't know why I wrote this down. Stanozolol, an anabolic steroid, just a straight-up steroids. He's out for the whole season. He's suspended an entire year. He's the second suspension.
Make him, that's the third suspension of his, isn't it?
I think it's second. I'm pretty positive it's second.
God, am I
wrong?
Get put under a microscope when you fail one. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. Which is kind of, I mean, I have. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if Robinson Cano. So Robinson Cano, my question here is basically, I mean, he was also suspended in a May 2018 for 80 games where he tested positive for formoxicide. I can't read. A diuretic where some athletes have used that to mask other substances. So that wasn't even for PEDs. That was for a thing that they say he was taking to mask PEDs, which other people have done before.
Right.
So my question on this first part was Robinson Cano's Hall of Fame chances already smited by that first suspension, or does this one right here seal the deal?
He was
Robinson Cano is a great player. I mean, he's on pace to, probably not now with this season, he was on pace to have 3,000 hits. And I just had it right here where he had a real shot at 1,500 runs and 1,500 RBIs. Only 38 players in MLB history have gotten there. It's all Hall of Famers.
Right. Well, he could have, with the diuretic, he could have made the case, hey, like, because the diuretic also helps you pass a regular drug test, which is fine.
Yeah.
If he's doing, the Major League Hall of Fame, and pretty much all of them were doing speed and all whatever drugs from the 70s, 80s back in the day. So he could have made the excuse like, no, that wasn't covered up steroids. That was covered. I'm in rehab now. I had a problem with, cocaine or marijuana or whatever.
Yeah. When I worked in minor league ball, 2 guys got suspended for Adderall.
Right.
On the team.
Right. Which is
that's technically a performance enhancing drug, right?
Yeah. No, players always get you got to get a prescription. You've got to, because it's not hard.
That could probably be considered a performance enhancing drug. I mean, Zach Greinke's probably on a shitload of it.
No, but I mean, a lot of NFL players have legit, they get like diagnosed with ADD or whatever. They have legit doctors write them a script for Adderall. Then it's no problem.
Like to fucking meet those guys, those doctors. Like Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt is considered the best third baseman of all time. And he admitted to using amphetamines, and he's still in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, in the 70s, they all used, he played in the 70s, the 80s. They all used amphetamines. I mean, you ever seen that Doc, what's his name? The guy, Doc Ellis?
LSD?
Yeah, the one where the documentary in that, he was just talking about how they all had greens and reds and blacks, like black beauties and goofballs and shit. Like, it was just like right there in the bowl.
See, that's the kind of shit that I want to take is pills where we're like, we got black booties, we got green balls, we got like, it basically sounds like the fireworks stand in Joe Dirt pretty much. But dude, Robinson Cano is a great player. Robinson Cano has 2,600 career hits, 303 career average. He hit 316 last year in 2020. I think this is the PEDs he's using them, I think, from a longevity standpoint. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's trying to stay in the league. He's trying to stay relevant. Yeah. 100%.
So this is kind of brings me into these other guys. Whereas Robinson Cano falling into this part right here, these other guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. And I disagree. I think these guys should be in. Rafael Palmeiro failed a test in 2005 that he claims was a vitamin B12 shot that him and Miguel Tejada both tested positive for steroids after.
Well, I would imagine that they were both on steroids. Rafael Palmeiro in 2005 was probably like 40.
Yeah. I mean, Rafael Palmeiro played for a long time, but Rafael Palmeiro is beyond a Hall of Famer. He came and went off of the ballot, but dude, he hit 569 home runs, 3,020 hits, one of 4 players with 500 home runs and 3,000 hits.
Really? I didn't know that, because I always filed him in my brain as like an Andre Dawson type, where it's like you just stuck around. That's what makes you have numbers. But
see, I read some things about that today where I didn't. What was the phrase they used? I don't know if they called him more of a complier than a superstar. I think was what they said. Where he was just around, he was consistent, he was always there, he was always rocking, which might be a steroids thing if he's able to play for 25 years or however long he played. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'll tell you this. You don't use steroids for 25 years and stay good. Like your body breaks down after a while from steroid use.
Well, I mean, that's
like you saw how Jose
that's kind of
got knocked out.
Yeah, well, that's the Barry Bonds argument, and that's some of these other guys' argument where people like Barry Bonds, who stayed in the league forever, it's saying that that's what the steroids were helping them with, was the longevity of their career plus the 162 game grind every year was just staying fresh all year because of the steroids.
Right. But I wonder though, because like we've said a million times before, Barry Bonds is pre-steroid. I mean, it's obvious when Barry Bonds started steroids because he lifted with them. So he just got fucking massive. But like his
his head grew like 3 hat sizes or something. I love it.
Yeah.
His feet grew. Dude, he legitimately, Barry Bonds would inject himself with steroids and then he would be like, go now, save yourself. And he would just be like, oh, like, dude, you ever seen, I wish I could pull up a picture. I'll send it to you to throw in the pod right here. Dude, this picture of Barry Bonds in like athletic shorts, like biker shorts and an Under Armour top in San Francisco, it is unreal. So, dude, that picture of Bonds, I had to switch out my headphones. I don't know what the hell happened. The picture of Bonds, just a true human specimen, just a massive individual.
Yeah.
Just, it's insane to look at, where it's like, maybe that helps you hit home runs. I'm in the camp of steroids can't make you a better baseball player. They can make you fresher for longer, and they can make you hit the baseball farther, but you have to make that initial contact no matter what.
Right. It has to make you, I mean, Barry Bonds, his numbers are so fucking different from when he was taking steroids to when he wasn't, that it clearly made him better. It clearly made him better.
You know what? Yeah, I think
Sosa with no steroids, he did nothing.
Yeah.
He was terrible.
But I think in baseball, especially, what steroids do is give you the longevity. I keep saying that word, over a season.
But look at Ryan Braun, look at Sammy Sosa. I mean, these players, they stop taking roids and they aren't what they used to be. Not even close.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I forgot that Ryan Braun tested positive.
Yeah. The 90s was just marred with that. Like Evander Holyfield should have never been a heavyweight. Roy Jones Jr. should have never been a heavyweight. Like there was a lot going on in the 90s of the steroids that I think it does absolutely improve you, whether or not, because that strength matters. Because now imagine you make partial contact. You don't make the kind of contact that would actually make a home run. Now you're adding so much more juice to that partial contact.
Yeah, I mean, that video of Barry Bonds hitting a home run while breaking his bat is kind of telling. Maybe you're right. But, I mean, this baseball Hall of Fame stuff is just going to roll and roll and roll and roll. Alex Rodriguez is up next. Alex Rodriguez never failed a test, but he admitted to using steroids from 2001 to 2003. But Alex Rodriguez had some injuries. Alex Rodriguez has 696 home runs. He's 4th all time.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if everybody's doing it, and you're the best of everybody doing it, you're still just the best in that talent pool. You're still
absolutely. Mark McGwire never failed a test. He finally admitted it in 2005 or 2007.
He did have androstenedione in his locker during an interview.
Yeah. No, you were thinking of adrenochrome. He had adrenochrome in his locker.
Oh, yeah.
Children's blood.
It was a baby bottle filled with blood.
You ever see Mark McGwire in front of Congress where they're like, did you ever use steroids and whatever? And he says, I'm not here to talk about the past.
Yes.
It's like he's fighting with his ex-girlfriend or something, basically.
Yeah. It's like there's no deposition in Congress where they're talking about the future. You know what I mean? Like it's an investigation.
Yeah. Here's the big kicker. Why David Ortiz? He failed a test in 2003.
He was never suspended.
Never suspended because it didn't come out later. Apparently,
He didn't fail a test. He was on a
failed
list.
a test.
He was on a list.
A list of people who failed a test. But so many players failed a test, I'm pretty positive what it is, in 2003 that they didn't make a big stink about it. He failed a test.
I remember that very well, and I remember it being very suspect.
He failed a test. In 2009, an article came out that said he was on a list of players who failed a PED test in 2003.
So a man gets shot in the back and you decide to shit on him like that? You know?
A lot of people have gotten shot in the back.
Including you in about 2 hours.
If I keep talking like this?
Yes.
But why is David Ortiz going to get that same Hall of Fame treatment as the rest of these guys?
David Ortiz, allegedly, he failed a test in 2003. Okay, sure. His career started around 1997, 1998. Post 2003, he continued to be, he's the best DH in the history of DH. To whatever Edgar, whatever, can suck my dick.
I'm an Edgar Martinez believer. Edgar Martinez, multiple pitchers and multiple people say that Edgar Martinez is the best hitter they've ever faced.
Yeah, sure. I wonder how much he paid him to say that. I mean, David Ortiz, listen, he brought an entire.
You're such a homer. It's so funny. You will go down with any ship. David Ortiz could have been the one to shoot that other guy in the back, and you would have been like, listen.
Well, that guy was a drug dealer. If he shot a drug dealer in the back, he's a hero.
Yeah, well, that guy, that guy who shot him got paid $7,800 to do it, dude.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, that's such a little amount of money to shoot a high-profile guy.
Yeah, I know.
That's
you know
not
that
even my debt.
Do you know how him on the Red Sox came to be?
No, he came from the Twins. I remember that.
He was injured in 2002 and released by the Twins. Ran into Pedro Martinez a couple days after he got released and told him that he got released. Yeah. Pedro Martinez literally was like, holy shit. Okay. Fuck yeah. Called up the Red Sox, was like, this is who you need to sign. They signed him 2 days later.
Yeah. 2 Dominican buddies. They played Dominican ball together. Yeah.
Nepotism, dude.
Also, you know, there was a terrorist attack, you may remember. And David Ortiz brought that city back together. And you're sitting here and you're trying to talk about how maybe he potentially took some Adderall or whatever you're accusing.
No, bitch, it was steroids. I love David Ortiz. I have nothing against David Ortiz.
I just think watch with him. Everybody says he worked the hardest. He was the first one in the building, last one to leave.
I'm not saying any of that is untrue. I'm just saying
Kurt Schilling or Manny Ramirez. I'll take that. I understand. Manny Ramirez, I'm pretty sure roided up. David Ortiz, that was a hit piece by the New York media. They don't.
The failing New York Times.
The failing New York Times, the New York Post, they were jealous. The curse was broken. It was no longer about the Yankees. It was about the Red Sox. And so, yeah, they want to shit. They want to put shit on the name of the greatest Red Sox maybe in history.
So I'm not saying any of that is untrue. I'm just saying that David Ortiz should get the same treatment as these other guys. It needs to be across the board, or it needs to not be across the board.
No, those stories are very different.
They're not. You failed a test. Alex Rodriguez never failed a test. Mark McGwire never failed a test. Barry Bonds never failed a test.
But
Sammy Sosa never failed a test.
Sammy Sosa, his corked bat exploded.
That's we're talking steroids. Corked bat is another story.
Yeah, and also, listen. I'm telling you, A-Rod admitted to using it for 2 years. These guys, their bodies changes, their stats go through the roof. Like none of this happened with David Ortiz. He was really
stayed
good.
Fat.
Huh?
He stayed fat.
He stayed fat through his whole career. Do you understand? Like that.
You know that he's a big Packers fan.
David Ortiz,
huge Packers fan. His wife's from Wisconsin. They have season tickets.
Yeah, there's no way he took steroids. There's no possible way. Steroids. He's too good of a guy.
You're blinded. You're blinded by your fucking love of this team.
You have no idea what that 2003 team means to me. There's no way there was anything false going on there. I mean,
all right. So this whole thing is about asterisks in my mind. If